Today we are going to talk about a topic that is both interesting and useful: 7 things a stupid man always says, through the lens of Stoicism. Now, before we start, let me be clear: the word stupid here doesn't mean a person has no intelligence. It means someone who speaks without thinking, someone whose words often show a lack of wisdom and self-control. Stoicism teaches us to value wisdom, self-awareness, and emotional control. By looking at the things such a person says, we can learn how to act wisely ourselves. A stupid man always says, "It's not my fault." This simple sentence reveals a lot about his character, his mindset, and his ability to grow as a human being. Blaming others is one of the easiest ways for a person to avoid responsibility, but it is also one of the most harmful habits a person can develop. When someone constantly says, "It's not my fault," it shows that they are unwilling to look inward, unwilling to reflect on their own actions, and unwilling to learn from mistakes. Stoicism, the ancient philosophy founded by thinkers like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, teaches the exact opposite. Stoicism encourages self-responsibility, self-awareness, and understanding the things we can control. According to Stoic wisdom, blaming others is a waste of time and energy because it focuses on external events that are beyond our control instead of the internal choices that we can influence. When a person says, "It's not my fault," they often do it to protect their ego. They may feel shame, guilt, or fear of being judged. By blaming others, they try to avoid facing the uncomfortable truth that they made a mistake or failed in some way. This is natural to some extent. Humans often want to protect themselves from pain. But Stoicism teaches that true strength comes from embracing reality as it is, not as we wish it were. Accepting responsibility is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of courage and wisdom. It is the first step toward growth, because only when we recognize our errors can we correct them and improve. Moreover, saying, "It's not my fault," creates a negative cycle. When a person blames others, they push the problem outside themselves. They pretend that the source of their difficulties is always someone or something else. This mindset prevents them from learning and repeating the same mistakes over and over. It also damages relationships. People around them start to lose trust because they see that the person refuses to be accountable. In work, friendships, and family life, this attitude isolates the individual. Stoics understand that life is a network of relationships and responsibilities. Avoiding responsibility not only harms the self but also harms those around us. Another reason this statement is so revealing is that it shows a lack of control over emotions. A person who says, "It's not my fault," is often reacting emotionally rather than thinking rationally. They feel defensive, angry, or frustrated, and instead of reflecting calmly on the situation, they lash out at someone else. Stoicism teaches that emotional control is essential for living a good life. By pausing before reacting and examining the situation rationally, a person can see what part of the outcome is truly within their control. If they focus on what they can change and improve, they become more effective and more resilient, instead of wasting energy on blame. In life, mistakes are inevitable. Everyone will fail, everyone will disappoint themselves or others, and everyone will encounter difficult situations. What separates the wise from the foolish is how they respond. A foolish person hides behind the words, "It's not my fault," refusing to see their own role in the problem. A wise person accepts responsibility, learns the lesson, and takes steps to do better next time. Stoic philosophers often remind us that our power lies in our actions, our choices, and our responses. External events may happen beyond our control, but the way we respond is always within our control. Choosing to blame others wastes this power and leaves us weak, frustrated, and stuck. When a person refuses to accept responsibility, they also miss the opportunity to improve their character. Stoicism emphasizes that virtue, wisdom, and self-discipline are the highest goods in life. Each mistake we make is an opportunity to strengthen these qualities. By admitting our faults, reflecting on why they happened, and committing to act differently in the future, we grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Saying, "It's not my fault," prevents this growth because it shuts down reflection and learning. The person remains trapped in a cycle of blame, defensiveness, and stagnation. A stupid man always says, "I know everything." This statement may seem harmless at first, but it reveals a mindset that is closed, arrogant, and resistant to growth. Claiming to know everything is a way of protecting one's ego. It allows a person to avoid admitting ignorance, uncertainty, or mistakes. Stoicism, on the other hand, teaches humility, reflection, and the pursuit of wisdom. A Stoic understands that true knowledge is endless, that life is a constant journey of learning, and that no one can ever truly know everything. When someone says, "I know everything," they reveal that they have stopped learning, that they are unwilling to listen to others, and that they prioritize appearing smart over actually being wise. This kind of thinking prevents growth because it closes the mind to new ideas. A person who believes they already know everything is less likely to ask questions, seek advice, or consider perspectives different from their own. They are trapped in a bubble of self-assurance, thinking they are superior, while in reality, they are limited by their own arrogance. Stoics remind us that wisdom comes from recognizing our limitations and being willing to learn from anyone and anything. Knowledge is not about having the right answer all the time. It is about being curious, reflective, and open to improvement. Saying, "I know everything," also often leads to poor decision-making. When a person refuses to consider other viewpoints, they miss valuable information. They make choices based on assumptions, pride, or incomplete understanding. This can create problems in work, relationships, and personal life. Stoicism emphasizes careful reflection before action, focusing on what is within one's control and making rational, thoughtful decisions. A person who believes they know everything ignores this principle, acting impulsively and often creating unnecessary difficulties. Another aspect of this mindset is how it affects relationships. People generally do not enjoy being around someone who constantly claims to be right or superior. Friends, family, and colleagues may feel frustrated, unheard, or undervalued. A stupid man's insistence on knowing everything can isolate him socially. Stoics understand that humans are social beings, and that growth often comes through collaboration, learning from others, and accepting guidance when needed. The wise person listens more than they speak, asks questions, and uses the knowledge of others to enhance their own understanding. This statement also reveals insecurity beneath the arrogance. Often, a person who claims to know everything fears being exposed as ignorant or incompetent. By projecting confidence, they try to convince others and themselves that they are in control. Stoicism teaches that true confidence comes not from pretending to know everything, but from accepting what we do not know, embracing uncertainty, and focusing on our ability to act wisely in any situation. The wise person does not need to appear omniscient, because they understand that learning and growth are lifelong processes. Moreover, saying, "I know everything," shows a lack of self-reflection. Stoics place great importance on examining one's own thoughts, actions, and motives. A person who refuses to admit ignorance cannot reflect deeply, because they are always defending their own perceived knowledge. This prevents personal growth, emotional intelligence, and moral development. Reflection allows a person to identify mistakes, correct behavior, and cultivate virtues such as patience, humility, and wisdom. A closed mind misses these opportunities and remains stagnant. Finally, the attitude of "I know everything" undermines resilience. Life is unpredictable, and challenges often require flexibility, learning, and adaptation. A person who believes they know everything struggles when confronted with new problems, criticism, or failure. They may react with anger, denial, or blame, rather than using the situation to improve. Stoicism teaches that challenges are opportunities to practice wisdom, patience, and self-control. Recognizing that we do not know everything allows us to approach life with curiosity, adaptability, and strength. A stupid man always says, "I don't care." This phrase may seem harmless or even confident at first, but it is often a mask for laziness, avoidance, or fear. Saying, "I don't care," shows a lack of engagement with life, a refusal to take responsibility, and a disregard for consequences. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what truly matters, to care about our character, our actions, and the choices we make every day. A person who constantly claims not to care is not practicing true strength or independence. They are often hiding from discomfort, avoiding reflection, or refusing to act wisely. When someone says, "I don't care," it is usually because they are trying to protect themselves from pain, criticism, or failure. They may be afraid of being hurt, judged, or disappointed. so they pretend not to care as a defense mechanism. While it may temporarily reduce emotional stress, this attitude is ultimately destructive. Stoicism teaches that we should not avoid challenges or discomfort. Instead, we should face them with courage and rational thinking. Caring in the right way is not weakness. It is a way to live a meaningful and virtuous life. A person who says, "I don't care," often ignores the impact of their actions on themselves and others. Life is full of responsibilities, and every choice we make has consequences. By refusing to care, they fail to consider how their actions affect their relationships, their work, and their personal growth. Stoics understand that caring wisely means focusing on what is within our control. We cannot control everything, but we can control our effort, our attitude, and our response to events. Saying, "I don't care," is an easy way to avoid this responsibility, but it leads to stagnation, missed opportunities, and regret. This phrase also reflects a lack of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence involves understanding our own feelings, recognizing the feelings of others, and responding appropriately. A person who constantly says, "I don't care," is often disconnected from both themselves and those around them. They may avoid forming meaningful connections or fail to recognize the importance of empathy. Stoicism teaches that emotions are natural, but they must be guided by reason. Caring wisely means acting with awareness, balancing our feelings with thoughtful reflection, and making choices that align with virtue. Saying, "I don't care," can also damage trust in relationships. Friends, family, and colleagues may interpret this attitude as indifference, selfishness, or irresponsibility. When someone refuses to engage or show concern, people around them begin to feel unsupported and undervalued. Stoics value community, collaboration, and the importance of contributing positively to society. Refusing to care isolates a person and prevents them from experiencing the benefits of connection, support, and shared growth. Another problem with this mindset is that it limits personal growth. Life is a series of challenges, learning experiences, and opportunities to improve. A person who claims not to care avoids responsibility and avoids learning from mistakes. They do not reflect on their behavior or seek to improve themselves. Stoicism emphasizes continuous self-improvement, reflection, and cultivating virtues such as patience, courage, and wisdom. By pretending not to care, a person blocks the very experiences that help them grow stronger and wiser. Finally, saying, "I don't care," often shows a misunderstanding of freedom. Many people believe that true freedom is not caring about anything. But Stoicism teaches that real freedom comes from caring about the right things and controlling our responses to life. A person who says, "I don't care," may feel independent or detached, but in reality, they are trapped by ignorance, avoidance, and emotional weakness. Choosing to care wisely allows a person to live intentionally, act with virtue, and face life with courage and clarity. A stupid man always says, "I will do it later." This statement seems harmless and casual, but it reflects a deeper problem of procrastination, avoidance, and lack of discipline. Saying, "I will do it later," is a way of postponing responsibility, delaying action, and avoiding the effort required to face challenges. Stoicism teaches that time is one of the most valuable resources we have, and wasting it, or delaying important actions, is a failure to respect life itself. Every moment is an opportunity to act, to improve, and to grow, and ignoring that opportunity is a sign of weakness, not strength. When someone says, "I will do it later," they are often avoiding discomfort. Tasks that require effort, thought, or courage can feel unpleasant in the moment, so a person chooses to delay them. While it may provide temporary relief, this attitude ultimately leads to regret, stress, and failure. Stoicism teaches that discomfort is part of life, and the wise person does not avoid it, but faces it with patience and discipline. Delaying action does not remove the challenge, it only makes it harder, larger, and more overwhelming over time. Procrastination also reflects a lack of self-control. A person who constantly says, "I will do it later," is allowing their impulses and temporary desires to guide their behavior, rather than reason and wisdom. Stoics emphasize the importance of self-discipline and mastery over one's mind and actions. By acting promptly on what we know is necessary, we strengthen our character and build resilience. Postponing action weakens the mind and teaches us to rely on excuses rather than principles. leaving us unprepared for life's inevitable difficulties. Furthermore, saying, "I will do it later," often leads to missed opportunities. Life moves forward constantly, and delaying action can mean missing important chances in work, relationships, or personal growth. A stupid man may waste hours, days, or even years putting off what matters, only to realize too late that the moment has passed. Stoicism teaches mindfulness and presence, acting in the present moment with attention and intention. By taking action now, rather than later, we harness the power of the present and make meaningful progress toward our goals. This mindset also affects relationships and trust. People who constantly postpone responsibilities are often seen as unreliable. Friends, family, and colleagues may lose confidence in someone who habitually says, "I will do it later." Stoicism values integrity, dependability, and honoring commitments. By acting promptly and responsibly, we build trust, respect, and stronger connections with those around us. Saying, "I will do it later," is a shortcut that often damages both our personal and professional life because it signals a lack of seriousness and accountability. Another important aspect is how this phrase affects personal growth. Delaying action keeps a person from learning through experience. Challenges, mistakes, and hard work are all opportunities to develop wisdom, patience, and resilience. A person who says, "I will do it later," avoids these experiences and remains stagnant. Stoics believe that life is a constant journey of self-improvement, and every action taken, no matter how small, contributes to character development. Avoidance, on the other hand, prevents growth and leaves a person weak and unprepared for future challenges. Finally, the attitude behind "I will do it later" is often rooted in fear of failure, fear of criticism, or fear of discomfort. Stoicism teaches that fear should not control our actions. Courage, reason, and discipline allow us to face challenges and act despite uncertainty or difficulty. Delaying action out of fear is a sign of weakness, while facing the moment with resolve and clarity builds strength, confidence, and wisdom. By taking action now, rather than postponing it, we gain control over our lives, strengthen our character, and live in alignment with the Stoic principles of reason, virtue, and self-mastery. A stupid man always says, "That's impossible." These words reflect a mindset that is limited, fearful, and unwilling to try. When a person says, "That's impossible," they are closing their mind to possibilities and refusing to face challenges. They allow obstacles to stop them before they even attempt to overcome them. Stoicism teaches the opposite, that challenges are opportunities to grow. Obstacles are chances to practice resilience, and nothing outside of reason should limit our efforts. A wise person understands that very little in life is truly impossible, and most difficulties can be addressed with patience, effort, and clever thinking. When someone declares something impossible, it is often because they are afraid of failure. They may feel overwhelmed by the difficulty of a task, intimidated by the unknown, or anxious about the potential for criticism. Instead of taking action, they create a mental barrier that protects them from discomfort. Stoicism teaches that fear should never control our choices. Life is full of unpredictable events, and courage is needed to act in spite of uncertainty. By saying, "That's impossible," a person avoids discomfort, but they also miss the chance to grow stronger and wiser. The wise person faces challenges directly and looks for solutions instead of giving up before trying. This phrase also demonstrates a lack of creativity and problem solving. A person who believes something is impossible often stops thinking about alternatives, solutions, or different approaches. They focus on the barriers rather than possibilities. Stoicism emphasizes rational thinking, patience, and flexibility. Obstacles are not meant to defeat us. They are meant to test our character and push us to find ways to succeed. Every challenge can be broken down, understood, and addressed if approached calmly and logically. Saying, "That's impossible," shuts down this process and ensures stagnation. Saying, "That's impossible," can also negatively affect relationships and influence others. People who constantly declare things impossible can demoralize a team or discourage those around them. They spread doubt and negativity, making it harder for others to pursue their goals. Stoics value the impact of our actions and words on the community. By adopting a mindset of possibility and constructive action, we inspire others and create a supportive environment for growth. A foolish person, on the other hand, creates limitations not only for themselves but also for those who rely on them. This mindset reflects a failure to take responsibility as well. Often, declaring something impossible is a way to avoid effort or commitment. It is easier to claim something cannot be done than to admit the work, learning, and patience required to accomplish it. Stoicism teaches that the process and effort are more important than the outcome. By attempting challenges, even if we fail, we develop strength, resilience, and wisdom. Avoiding effort under the excuse of impossibility deprives us of these valuable lessons and keeps us weak and unprepared for life. Moreover, saying, "That's impossible," shows a lack of vision and ambition. A person who refuses to see potential in themselves or in situations limits their own life. Stoicism emphasizes focusing on what is within our control, taking deliberate action, and striving to improve ourselves and our circumstances. Life presents obstacles constantly, but our attitude toward them determines our success. Those who declare things impossible surrender to circumstance, instead of asserting their ability to respond wisely. Finally, this phrase reflects a mindset focused on limitation rather than possibility. A stupid man allows fear, laziness, and doubt to dictate his thoughts. A Stoic approaches challenges with patience, courage, and reason, understanding that very few things are truly beyond human effort. Obstacles are not barriers to defeat. They are opportunities to practice wisdom, resilience, and self-control. Believing something is impossible prevents growth, action, and learning, while embracing challenges strengthens the mind and character, preparing us to face life with clarity, strength, and determination. A stupid man always says, "I don't need anyone." These words seem strong on the surface, as if the person is independent, self-sufficient, and powerful. But in reality, this statement reveals arrogance, pride, and a lack of understanding of human life. No one exists in isolation. Life is built on relationships, cooperation, and support from others. Stoicism teaches that we are social beings, and our strength comes not from denying connections, but from acting wisely within them. By refusing to recognize the value of others, a person isolates themselves, weakens their growth, and misses essential lessons that come from interacting with the world. When someone says, "I don't need anyone," it is often rooted in fear or insecurity. They may have been hurt, disappointed, or betrayed in the past and want to protect themselves by pretending they do not need anyone. While self-protection is natural, completely shutting others out is harmful. Stoicism teaches that external events, including the actions of other people, are beyond our full control, but how we interact with them, learn from them, and grow through relationships is within our control. Avoiding meaningful connections deprives a person of wisdom, support, and perspective that can only come from shared experiences. This phrase also reflects a lack of humility. A person who says, "I don't need anyone," believes that they are self-sufficient in all matters, that they can handle every challenge alone. In reality, no one can know everything or manage every difficulty by themselves. Life is full of complex situations, unexpected events, and challenges that require guidance, advice, and cooperation. Stoicism teaches that true strength comes from knowing what is within our control and seeking wisdom and help when needed. Denying the importance of others is not independence, it is ignorance. Saying, "I don't need anyone," can also harm relationships. Friends, family, and colleagues may feel undervalued, rejected, or unnecessary. Human beings thrive on connection, encouragement, and mutual support. By pushing people away, a person damages trust, weakens social bonds, and misses opportunities for collaboration. Stoics emphasize the importance of acting with virtue in all interactions, including fairness, respect, and cooperation. A person who refuses to acknowledge the value of others risks living a lonely, isolated, and less meaningful life. Furthermore, this mindset limits learning and personal growth. Wisdom often comes from listening to others, observing their experiences, and reflecting on different perspectives. When someone believes they do not need anyone, they refuse these lessons. They rely solely on their own experience and understanding, which is always limited. Stoicism teaches that growth is continuous, and knowledge is never complete. By interacting with others and being open to guidance, a person strengthens their judgment, understanding, and character. Isolation prevents these benefits and keeps the mind closed. Another problem with saying, "I don't need anyone," is that it creates rigidity and resistance to collaboration. Life often demands teamwork, empathy, and shared effort. A person who insists on total independence may struggle in work, family life, or social situations because they cannot adapt, compromise, or cooperate effectively. Stoicism teaches flexibility within reason, working with others, learning from them, and contributing positively to the community. Refusing help or denying the value of relationships is not strength, it is a limitation that reduces effectiveness and opportunity. Finally, this statement reflects a misunderstanding of what true strength and freedom are. Independence does not mean cutting oneself off from others. True strength comes from self-mastery, wisdom, and the ability to act virtuously while recognizing the interconnectedness of life. Humans are not islands. We are part of a larger whole. Stoics believe that we grow stronger and wiser, not by rejecting others, but by engaging with them thoughtfully, learning from them, and contributing positively to the world. Saying, "I don't need anyone," may sound confident, but it hides ignorance, pride, and a refusal to embrace the support, wisdom, and experiences that make life richer and our character stronger. A stupid man always says, "I am always right." These words may seem confident at first, but they reveal arrogance, closed-mindedness, and an unwillingness to learn. Claiming to always be right is a way to protect the ego, avoid criticism, and maintain a false sense of superiority. Stoicism, in contrast, teaches humility, self-reflection, and the pursuit of wisdom. A Stoic understands that no one is perfect, that mistakes are inevitable, and that growth comes from recognizing errors and learning from them. Saying, "I am always right," is not a sign of intelligence or strength. It is a barrier to improvement, understanding, and meaningful relationships. When someone insists they are always right, they are often afraid of being judged or shown to be wrong. This fear may be hidden behind anger, defensiveness, or dismissive behavior. Instead of examining their own thoughts and actions, they focus on proving themselves to others. Stoicism teaches that external opinions are beyond our control, and that our focus should be on our own character, actions, and reasoning. Being attached to the idea of always being right creates rigidity and prevents the individual from considering alternative viewpoints, which is essential for learning and growth. This mindset also limits problem-solving and decision-making. Life is complex, and challenges often require listening to different perspectives, weighing options, and adapting to new information. A person who believes they are always right refuses to consider input from others, even when it could help them find better solutions. Stoicism emphasizes rational thinking, self-awareness, and careful reflection before action. Those who cling to the belief that they are always right make decisions based on ego rather than reason, which often leads to mistakes and conflict. Saying, "I am always right," can also damage relationships. Friends, family, colleagues, and partners may feel frustrated, undervalued, or unheard. Trust, collaboration, and respect require open-mindedness and the willingness to admit mistakes. Stoics recognize the value of relationships, not just for social connection but as a source of learning, support, and perspective. A person who refuses to accept feedback isolates themselves and limits their ability to grow socially and emotionally. Arrogance drives people away, while humility invites cooperation and understanding. Another problem with this statement is that it shows a lack of self-reflection. Stoicism teaches that examining our thoughts, actions, and motives is essential for personal growth. By admitting mistakes and weaknesses, we cultivate virtues such as wisdom, patience, and self-control. A person who claims to always be right avoids this reflection, remaining blind to their own errors. They may continue harmful habits, repeat mistakes, and fail to develop the character needed to handle life's challenges effectively. True strength comes from awareness, not the illusion of perfection. Saying, "I am always right," is also a sign of insecurity hidden beneath arrogance. Many people cling to the need to be right because they fear being seen as weak, ignorant, or incompetent. This fear drives defensiveness, stubbornness, and closed-mindedness. Stoicism teaches that confidence comes not from pretending to know everything or always being correct, but from understanding our limitations, practicing self-discipline, and striving for wisdom. The wise person is not afraid to admit mistakes or change their mind when presented with reasoned evidence. Finally, this phrase undermines growth and resilience. Life is unpredictable, and no one can foresee every outcome or avoid every mistake. A person who believes they are always right may react with anger, denial, or blame when faced with failure, instead of learning from the experience. Stoicism teaches that challenges and mistakes are opportunities to strengthen character, improve judgment, and cultivate virtue. Accepting that we can be wrong allows us to grow stronger, wiser, and more capable of handling life's uncertainties with clarity, patience, and courage. A stupid man always says things without thinking first. This habit may seem harmless, but it often causes problems in every area of life. Words are powerful, and they can either build or destroy relationships, reputation, and opportunities. Speaking without thinking reflects a lack of self-control, a lack of reflection, and a lack of wisdom. Stoicism teaches that we should pause, reflect, and act with reason before expressing ourselves. A person who does not think before speaking allows impulsive emotions, anger, pride, fear, or jealousy to control their words, leading to conflict, misunderstanding, and regret. When someone speaks without thinking, they often react emotionally rather than rationally. They may say hurtful things in the heat of the moment, make promises they cannot keep, or give advice they do not fully understand. Stoics understand that emotions are natural, but must be guided by reason. Acting impulsively without thought is a failure to control the mind and leads to unnecessary suffering for oneself and others. Words spoken carelessly cannot be taken back, and the damage caused can last much longer than the moment of anger or excitement that triggered them. This habit also reflects impatience and ignorance. A person who speaks first and thinks later does not take time to gather facts, consider consequences, or understand other perspectives. They may jump to conclusions, spread misinformation, or make assumptions about people and situations. Stoicism emphasizes observation, careful reflection, and understanding before action. By thinking first, a person can ensure that their words are accurate, meaningful, and constructive. Speaking without thinking is the opposite. It prioritizes immediate gratification over wisdom and long-term benefit. Another problem with speaking without thinking is the effect it has on relationships. Friends, family, colleagues, and peers may feel frustrated, disrespected, or misunderstood when someone speaks carelessly. Trust and respect are built over time and through thoughtful communication. Stoics value clear, intentional, and measured speech because it fosters understanding, cooperation, and harmony. Careless words, on the other hand, create confusion, conflict, and emotional distance. A stupid man damages his own social standing by allowing impulsivity to guide his tongue. This behavior also prevents personal growth. Mistakes are inevitable, but a person who speaks without thinking repeats the same errors because they never pause to reflect on the impact of their words. Reflection is a key principle in Stoicism. By examining our thoughts, actions, and their consequences, we learn and improve. Those who act impulsively miss this opportunity. They may offend others, damage opportunities, and fail to recognize patterns in their own behavior that need correction. Thinking first allows a person to grow stronger, wiser, and more disciplined. Saying things without thinking also reveals a lack of discipline and self-mastery. Stoicism teaches that controlling one's impulses is essential for living a good life. A person who reacts immediately to every thought or feeling is controlled by external circumstances rather than by reason. True freedom and strength come from mastering the mind, pausing before reacting, and choosing words carefully. The ability to think before speaking not only prevents unnecessary harm, but also reflects a calm, confident, and wise character. Finally, this habit can have lasting consequences. Impulsive speech can ruin careers, friendships, reputations, and opportunities. Words spoken in anger or carelessness can lead to conflicts that are difficult to repair. Stoicism emphasizes living with purpose, integrity, and mindfulness. By thinking first, a person ensures that their words align with their values, support their goals, and maintain their dignity. A stupid man, by contrast, allows impulses to dictate his speech, leaving chaos, misunderstanding, and regret in his wake. A stupid man refuses to learn from mistakes. This is one of the most revealing signs of a lack of wisdom. Mistakes are a natural part of life, and every person will encounter them. They are opportunities to grow, improve, and strengthen character. However, a person who refuses to learn from mistakes chooses to remain stagnant. They repeat the same errors over and over, often blaming others, circumstances, or luck for the outcomes, instead of reflecting on their own actions. Stoicism teaches that true strength and wisdom come from self-reflection, acceptance of responsibility, and a commitment to improvement. By ignoring lessons from failure, a person weakens themselves and limits their potential. When someone refuses to learn from mistakes, it is often because they are attached to their ego. Admitting errors requires humility, courage, and honesty. A person who prioritizes appearing perfect or being right avoids this discomfort. They may fear judgment, shame, or criticism. Stoicism emphasizes that external opinions are outside our control, and that the only thing truly under our control is how we respond to life's events. A wise person does not cling to pride or fear of criticism. Instead, they examine their mistakes, accept them as part of life, and use them as tools for growth. This refusal to learn also reflects impulsivity and a lack of self-awareness. A person who repeats mistakes without reflection is not paying attention to the consequences of their actions. They fail to pause, consider alternatives, or think critically about why things went wrong. Stoics teach that self-awareness is essential for improvement. By understanding our own thoughts, motivations, and patterns of behavior, we can identify errors and correct them. Ignoring lessons from mistakes keeps a person blind to their own weaknesses and prevents the cultivation of virtues such as patience, wisdom, and resilience. Refusing to learn from mistakes also negatively affects relationships. Friends, family, colleagues, and partners often notice repeated errors and poor judgment. Over time, trust can erode because others see that the person does not take responsibility or strive to improve. Stoicism values the impact of our actions on the community and emphasizes acting with virtue in all relationships. By learning from mistakes, we show respect for others, strengthen our bonds, and create an environment of trust and cooperation. A person who refuses to learn isolates themselves and damages their ability to grow socially and emotionally. Another issue with this mindset is that it limits long-term success. Life presents challenges that require adaptability, learning, and perseverance. A person who does not reflect on mistakes is ill-prepared for future difficulties. Stoicism teaches that challenges are opportunities to practice virtue, resilience, and reason. Each mistake is a lesson waiting to be understood. By ignoring these lessons, a person wastes valuable experiences that could have strengthened their judgment, patience, and skill. They remain trapped in a cycle of failure and frustration, unable to reach their full potential. Saying, "I don't need to learn from mistakes," also shows fear of discomfort. Growth requires effort, reflection, and sometimes painful acknowledgement of failure. Many people avoid this discomfort by pretending nothing is wrong or by blaming others. Stoicism, however, teaches that true strength lies in facing discomfort with clarity and courage. Mistakes are not punishments. They are opportunities to become wiser, more disciplined, and more capable. By refusing to learn, a person denies themselves the chance to develop inner strength and resilience. Finally, this habit undermines personal freedom and control. Life is unpredictable, and challenges will always arise. A person who refuses to learn from mistakes reacts to circumstances without thought, repeating harmful patterns and remaining at the mercy of events. Stoicism emphasizes that we cannot control everything that happens, but we can control how we respond. By learning from mistakes, we gain wisdom, build self-mastery, and take control of our lives. A stupid man, by contrast, remains trapped in ignorance, weakness, and repetition, leaving his life dictated by error rather than guided by reason, reflection, and virtue.